What's going on, guys? So this is going to be a little bit of a different video than I would do on the channel, but if you can tell from the title and the thumbnail already, this is going to be a product review, and this is my first product review at that, so just please be patient with me as I go through this. But there's a couple reasons for that. I've wanted to do a product review for quite a while, but I haven't really been using anything super new that could give like an honest first impression and opinion on. And then two, I actually recently came across a product through Instagram, seeing sponsored ads, and it was something that was really stood out to me, and I wanted to see it for myself and try it out. And the company that makes this product, actually, I spoke with them very briefly through Instagram DMs, and they were nice enough to send me this product for free to be able to test out and review it. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. But the company that we're gonna be checking out makes shoes, and this isn't a skateboarding company, so please keep that in mind, because I know some people out there would already go losing their minds and doing the whole torch pitchfork spiel of like, oh, it's not skater owned, all that. So let's get that out of the way. But yeah, this isn't a skateboarding company, but they make a specific type of shoe, which is a barefoot shoe. And what that is, so to kind of show you guys an example here. So it's not this shoe, obviously. These are the shoes that I've been skating recently. And the type of shoe that they make is a barefoot shoe, which means the front, if you were to look straight down at this, most shoes are going to narrow out like you see here. Their shoes don't do that. They actually have more room around the toe, so you have more space to wiggle your toes and spread them, all that. How you're actually supposed to be able to do that naturally. But shoes like this, with it being so narrow, you don't have that room to be able to freely move like you're supposed to. And the other difference is with the inside of the shoe and the insole, a lot of shoes, they have like a little bit of a different height difference. And their shoes have zero drop, which means from heel to toe, there is no difference in elevation or height, anything like that. So same height from heel to toe, so it's completely flat, and there's no different shapes in terms of the insole, so you're not gonna have like arch support or anything like that, which for me isn't really too big of a factor because I'm flat-footed. I've skated some shoes and insoles that have like arch support. I've skated just completely flat. That doesn't bother me personally, but like I said, I'm already flat-footed as it is. But basically, their shoes being barefoot shoes are supposed to mimic natural human feet, to mimic the form and functionality of that. And with those type of shoes, I'm fairly new to the concept, so I was doing a lot of research, or at least a little bit of research to kind of look it up and just see what the intentions are behind that kind of stuff. But basically, having shoes like that, that mimic the natural foot and allow your foot to be natural, are supposed to come with some benefits. So to help strengthen your feet and provide support through your feet, ankles, knees, back, etc. So there is benefits to using barefoot shoes, but I know not everybody uses those. But basically, this company started to branch out and make skateboarding shoes that just came out, I believe, in the last few months. It's a fairly new thing, and this is their first take on skate shoes. And when I saw this, I was really intrigued and wanted to be able to check it out for myself. But I'm going to show you guys real quick. So this is what their shoe looks like. And these shoes you can get in low top and high top, but I'm more of a low top guy, so that's why I have these. But from the side and from the back, doesn't look anything different. But if you look at it this way, you can see what I'm talking about, how the toe is a little wider out. And just kind of so you can visually see it, here's the etnies I've been skating, and here's these shoes. So you can see it's a little bit wider. Now, these shoes come from a company called Splay. And the name is to literally reference the fact that you should be able to splay your toes and do things of that nature. But this model shoe is called the Rev, which is for Revolution. And basically it's one specific style that they have so far. And you can get it in high top and low top, but they have multiple colorways that are named after different like cities and locations. These are actually the London colorway. I can't remember off the top of my head what some of the other ones were because my memory is so bad right now. But this is the one that stood out the most to me because it was just a simple colorway. I like it's not super dark or bright, which doesn't matter to me either way, but I like the way it looks with the gray and having the white around the bottom and all that. But already you can see that they are on the right track as far as tread goes in the bottom for a skate shoe. I mean, obviously, if you look at these etnies, there's like the triangle shapes that you would have. So they got that part going on there. This whole section definitely feels kind of thick, which tells me that that's going to last a little while. And the one thing that might make people, or some people, hesitant with these shoes is it's not fully suede. There is some canvas in it, so if you were to look at it right here, this whole bit here and coming around is canvas, but then this part right here is suede. So pretty close to the point where it flick is still suede. But to that, I do want to point out really quick too. So before we get too far into this review, this is all gonna be one video, but it's gonna be split up into 2 days because I'm not gonna get to skate these till tomorrow from the time that I'm filming this. But basically, I want to point out that this review is gonna be completely honest and unbiased, and it's not gonna translate to what everybody's gonna experience. And what I mean by that is my experience with these shoes might not be the same as somebody else, or how I feel might not be the same as how somebody else feels. Because, one, I've been using rubber grip tape. So I'm not using Mob, Jessup, Grizzly, Pepper. I don't have that factor of the same paper texture tearing as the shoes. So unfortunately, I won't be able to really tell you guys the longevity with skating these compared to normal grip tape and stuff like that, because I don't have that situation. I've been using rubber grip tape, so I won't be tearing through these. So I unfortunately won't be able to tell you that part. But I will be able to tell you guys how they feel while being on the board, how the functionality works with popping, flip tricks, balance, and all that. But the other thing is, my review isn't going to translate to everybody because everybody has a different preference when it comes to skate shoes. Me, I like a nice in-between. I don't like having a slip-on type shoe to skate in because it's too much board feel, but I can't do a shoe that's overly puffy like old school DCs and Osiris's because that's not enough board feel. I like that nice in-between like you would get with like an Eddie's Murano, which is to this day one of my all-time favorite skate shoes. And especially because it came with a toe cap around it, and I traditionally flick harder too, so those shoes lasted the longest for me. So again, my review and my thoughts and opinions on this might not translate to what anybody else would experience, but I'm going to be completely honest with you guys on how I feel that they function. But for me personally, they're not overly thin, but not super thick either. So I feel like this is going to be a nice mix for, between comfort and board feel. But we will see how that is when I skate these tomorrow. But I do kind of want to show you guys the comparison real quick too, because when I showed a picture of these after I got them in the mail yesterday, I sent a picture of them to one of my friends that I work with, and at first he was telling me that it looked really big around the toe, which it does. But again, this is supposed to mimic natural human foot. This is not. So the difference is you're visually used to seeing this when you look down, not this. So it's gonna throw you off a bit. But I do want to show you guys really quick before we get into the skating part of this video, the comparison, well not really a comparison, but to show you guys ideally where your foot actually resides when you're in these shoes. So even though it looks like something that you would have too much room in, it's really not that different. Now I do want to say for size-wise, I skate size 10.5 normally. Well, really with any like standard shoes, especially skate shoes, I do 10.5. But these are all whole number sizes, so like 9, 10, 11. And since I skate 10.5, I was looking to see like sizing details. Now they do say, I can't remember what it was for women's sizes off the top of my head. I'm bad with that at the moment. But I want to say that they said if you were in a half size for women to go up a size is what it might be. I could be wrong in that, but I will put the link to their site in the description below if you want to check it out for yourselves, to check out their skate shoes and whatever else they have. But I do know that for men's shoes, it mentioned that if you were in a half size, they recommended to go the half size down. So since I do 10.5, ideally I would have thought go 10. So I did try these shoes on already yesterday because I wanted to make sure that the sizing was correct and that it felt the best. And this is actually a pretty snug shoe for me for that size. But just to show you guys real quick here. So as you guys can see, these are the Etnies that I've been skating, and these are the Splay shoes. So you can already see that it looks like these are gonna be a lot bigger. But compared to my foot, there's not too much of a difference. But obviously you're so used to seeing this narrow out that your foot are gonna get crammed in more when you're wearing stuff like this. But you're not gonna think anything of that because normally you were so used to seeing a shoe like that. But to show you guys here, let me go ahead and slip these on. So I'm not worried about tying this one right now because like I said, I've already tried these on because I wanted to make sure the sizing was right. So my left shoe is actually already tied and ready to go. But basically, because I picked a 10, since I skate 10.5 normally, so it's nice and snug back here, but there's still a little bit of room up here. So to kind of really show you guys here, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in for you. So obviously a lot of times when you're checking shoes, you're gonna be doing stuff like this to see where your foot sits compared to the end of the shoe. So right now if I have my heel all the way back, and I press down right here, I'm right in front of my toe here. So I still have a little bit of room up here. I come around this way, I'm just next to my pinky toe here. And on this side, I'm right next to my big toe. Like right here, you can see what I mean. And sizing is gonna be different for people too, because they did also mention that some people actually prefer to go up the half size rather than down. So depending on what size you pick, you might have a little bit of excess room, more than I do right now. But because these are meant to be skate shoes, I wanted to make sure I wasn't gonna lose board feel and that I wasn't gonna be too uncomfortable. So with this size, it's not overly snug, but it is still giving my foot space to move around. But that's another example too of, compared to this kind of shoe, it looks like it's overly big compared to this, but technically this is more narrowed in, it's cramming your foot in. This is giving my foot natural room to be able to breathe and move around and spread my toes out because it's so close. So visually it looks bigger, but in the grand scheme of things, this really isn't that far off from how your foot should normally be anyway. So initial impressions before even skating them, compared to a regular shoe, these are actually fairly comfortable and they don't feel too different. They don't feel like they're made overly cheap, but they don't feel like they're just gonna fall apart as I start walking around in them. And they are pretty comfortable. So if you do want to check out these for yourself, I will put the link in the description below, like I said before. And if you go to their website, you do have the chance to enter in your emails. So that way on your first purchase, you can get 15% off. So if you do want to try these out, go ahead and go to that link down below. But yeah, as far as just an initial casual shoe, these don't really feel that bad. And especially if it's going to mean wearing shoes like this will translate to getting more strength and support physically, especially through your feet, ankles, knees, and all that. I would definitely say this would be a good investment. Now, this is my first time checking these out and wearing them, so I'm curious to see how over time that I'm gonna feel by skating in these, because obviously I don't have these, like I don't have another pair of these. I'm kind of weird when it comes to skate shoes. I kind of just use my skate shoes as only skate shoes, so I don't wear them around casually or anything like that. I even keep them in a bag, like with skateboarding stuff, like tools and all that. So like when I'm going and traveling somewhere, I wear casual shoes, and then once I get to a spot or skate park, I take those shoes off and put my skate shoes on. So I don't know how much benefit me personally I will get out of this, because I'm not wearing shoes like this daily, but I am curious to see how they are going to perform when we skate tomorrow. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the skating. With the skating part of this video, I'm actually heading indoors because I was gonna skate outdoors originally, but as you can see, there is snow on the ground. And we got a good amount of snow, like nothing too crazy, but enough snow here in Ohio last week, and some of the temperatures were hitting like low temperatures of negatives. So the park that I was gonna go to had too much snow that I wouldn't have been able to clear out and have it dry to actually be able to skate. So we're gonna skate indoors, but the way I'm going to test these shoes and actually skate them to get like a feel for them, I'm going to start by skating a micro mini first, because I don't do a lot of popping tricks on this thing. It's mostly like different stalls and grinds. So I'm going to start with the micro mini because I'll be able to kind of see how like the board feel is and just general feeling. But from the micro mini, we'll move on to trying like different manuals and ledge tricks. And I might flip into certain ones just depending on how I'm feeling. But then after that, I'll kind of move on to just whatever feels right in the moment. We'll do some flip tricks and just anything at that point. So we're just gonna get a whole session in. And from that point, I should be able to give you guys a full, honest review on how I feel about the shoes, with how they feel while skating and how they function while trying different stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and head to this park, and then we'll go from there. wear test session of the Splay Rev low tops. Now, I will say overall this is a really good shoe, and especially for this being their first skate shoe, I didn't really have any issues. Like right away when I was first starting on that Micro Mini, it felt kind of natural just jumping right in and cruising around. There wasn't anything too crazy about it. And then once I was getting into like the manual and ledge tricks, it still felt kind of normal. There was a couple flat ground tricks I tried to do that I didn't film, just because I wanted to see a couple things, because I wanted to see how the flick felt, but I was also trying to see how my ankle would feel, because I've actually had some issues for the last like year with like flicking properly. I've actually had to wear an ankle brace, and I'm trying out Old Bones Therapy ankle compression sleeve. So I wanted to make sure that was going to work before I tried the hip stuff. So I will definitely say though, the flip tricks felt a little odd, nothing too out of the ordinary, but with it being a bigger toe box, I kind of had to put my foot in some weird spots to kind of get a good feeling for the flick. So it wasn't that it didn't work, it was just a slight different learning curve to be able to know where to set my feet with these specific shoes. Now, the only things I will say that I was a little weird about, and some of that is because of my choice with this specific size. So I'm not sure if they intend to do half sizes down the road, because like I said earlier, I know it's just full sizes, so like 9, 10, 11, and I usually skate a 9, or I usually skate a 10 and a half. For me personally, a couple things. Maybe down the road, if they're trying to expand more and do more skate shoes and try some different stuff, it would probably be a better idea to like kind of like dive into the half sizes, just because with skaters being very specific on what they want and need, you probably want as close to your initial shoe size as possible. So this for me, it was pretty snug. Like my toes still had a little bit of room, but it wasn't like I had a lot of room. So I did start to notice while I was skating more and more that my foot did kind of get a little bit uncomfortable because I was so close already to the front. And like I said, it's nothing too bad. I think that was mostly just my choice in the size on that. But I will say, as far as where my toe was sitting in here, the only thing I would say as far as like constructive criticism, at least in my opinion, I mean somebody else might be different on this, the only thing that I would probably change or adjust with this design, one is looking into doing half sizes and see how that feels as far as the fits go and functionality, because like I said, skaters are pretty specific on what they need and what they want in their shoe sizes to have the most comfort and use out of what they're doing. But the only other thing I would say is the way the material is done inside the shoe, like where your foot actually resides, because there's a lot of padding and comfort from the side of your foot and coming around and back here. There's a little bit of that missing towards the toe box, because it's more, you can kind of directly feel the canvas over the toe. So I was starting to notice that after a while, and it kind of starts a little bit after where the suede ends right here, and this is like canvas. This is kind of like thicker and more tough, which for skating purposes that's actually nice on the outside, but I think for the inside, if they were going to do this again going forward, again, maybe kind of experiment with the half sizes and kind of take a chance on that. And I would probably find a way to add nothing too crazy, but maybe a softer material to line the inside of this for a little bit more comfort for while somebody is skating. Because for general tricks it wasn't bad, but it was just for some of the more advanced stuff where your foot is trying to move around, you're trying to get your feeling and tweaking around your foot to get in those positions that you need and foot placements. I started to notice my foot kind of hitting the sides a little bit uncomfortably, especially with it being thicker and more tough on the inside. But that's the only, not really complaint, but that's the only criticism I have about this shoe. Because overall, this skates really well. I mean, I had no problems doing all the tricks that you guys saw in the video, so it didn't keep me from doing any of that. Most of it was just in terms of like comfortability while skating, because walking around, I had no issues. And when I was first trying these out, I didn't really notice much of anything. It's just, again, you're kind of doing a little bit more like movement with your feet, especially in your shoe, when you're doing an activity like skateboarding compared to just walking around. So I think that was the real test, because walking around, you're not going to really notice that too much, but when you got to have all those little adjustments, you're definitely going to see where your foot's at inside the shoe and how it rests and where it might need to be worked on is all. But again, this definitely is not a bad shoe, especially for their very first shoe. I definitely say they did pretty well. I'm not really good with scales, but if I was to go on a scale like 1 to 10, for me personally, after skating this shoe once, I would say it is a really good shoe. It's not a horrible shoe either. I would probably say at least a 7 or an 8. And the only reason is mostly because of comfortability while skating. I think that's the only flaw that I noticed with this. Now, the other thing would be to maybe expand and have this be more suede, because, like I said, my experience is going to be a lot different than everybody else's because I use rubber skateboarding grip tape, so I don't have the factor of this tearing away from the grip tape. So I would say if they were to continue doing more skate shoes down the road, like past the initial Rev shoe, probably have more suede around this area. They could probably still keep this canvas like right here, but I would say make this all suede here at least. And between making this suede, looking into doing half sizes, that way skaters can get a closer fit to what they would naturally like. And with the lining on the inside of the shoe, maybe having some sort of padded insert in here. Nothing too crazy, because obviously you still want the barefoot, technology that they're trying to do with these shoes, but maybe just something kind of like what they have right in here, like toward the heel, maybe make a lining like that on the inside of the toe. But those are the only things that I would say could be adjusted. But all in all, like, it had a really good grip, like with the tread pattern on the bottom. I had a lot of grip while I was trying different tricks. I felt pretty solid, comfortable overall on my board. I didn't have any issues with that. A lot of it was just the more and more I skated, just feeling a little bit of discomfort. But that's mostly because the specific size that I picked, because I went down the half size, and because there's not a softer lining on the inside of the toe. So aside from that, this is actually a really good shoe, and it's not super expensive either. Because I know a lot of shoes you start breaking like closer to 100, and I can't remember the exact price off the top of my head, because like I said, they were nice enough to send me a pair for free. So I want to say I know it was between 70 and 80 bucks for the low tops, and I think high tops were between 80 and 90, somewhere in that range. So it's really not overly expensive for a really good skate shoe, and I do think they did a really good job for their first shoe. I kind of hope that they do expand and do some more in the future too, because this is definitely a good start, especially blending the worlds of barefoot shoes and skateboarding shoes. So I definitely think this was a good job on their part. For the most part, like I said, a couple little things can be changed here and there, but nothing too crazy. All in all, I did really enjoy this shoe, and I'm definitely going to skate this more. I think some of it's, I still got to get used to it too, because it's a different feeling compared to a traditional skate shoe. But yeah, I would definitely give it a 7 or 8 out of 10, and if you guys do want to check these out for yourself, they do have the same shoe in multiple colorways, and you can get it in a low top or a high top. And I will have that link down in the description below. If you guys want as well, if you enter in your email on their website, there's a spot for that. You can get 15% off your first order when you enter your email in. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, go to the website, which will be down in the description below. But thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.